Have you ever met someone who smiled at you warmly, convincingly, only to later discover that behind that smile was a silent, calculated desire to see you fail? It's not the loud enemies that are the most dangerous. The ones who curse your name, who shout their anger, those you can prepare for. The ones you need to fear are quieter, calmer, the ones who play the long game. They don't announce their hatred, they hide it, they observe, they wait, they manipulate behind closed doors while offering a handshake in public. And by the time you finally sense what's happening, the damage is already in motion. This isn't about paranoia, it's about awareness, it's about survival, because the people who want to see you fall often look exactly like the ones you trust most, a coworker, a friend, even family. They don't come at you with knives drawn. They come in close, too close, offering help, support, loyalty, until they don't. And if you don't recognize them in time, they won't just wound you. They'll drain you dry, emotionally, financially, socially. Then, when you've been hollowed out and left questioning your own worth, they'll move on to the next target, without remorse, without warning. That's why in this video, I'm going to walk you through 5 specific signs that separate ordinary tension from true destruction. Because not everyone who dislikes you wants to destroy you, but the ones who do, they leave. Traces if you know where to look. These red flags are subtle, easy to dismiss, but if you ignore them, they can cost you years of energy, peace, trust, even your future. So ask yourself, do you really know who's on your side? Or is someone waiting quietly, patiently for the perfect moment to strike? Because if you don't see it coming, you won't be able to stop it, but once you do, once you know what to look for, you become impossible to ambush, and that's why we're here. Before we dive in, if you're committed to building unshakable resilience, if you want to sharpen your instincts through the lens of Stoic wisdom, then hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications. Because in a world like this, knowledge isn't just power, it's protection. Let's begin. First sign, the quiet betrayal. Not all attacks come with a shout. Some arrive like a whisper in the dark, slow, calculated, and almost invisible. They don't break your door down. They slip through it while you're asleep, dripping poison into your life, one drop at a time. The most dangerous enemy isn't the one who confronts you. It's the one who shakes your hand while loosening the laces of your stability, smiling, nodding, blending in, while watching you trip over missteps they quietly arranged. Take Daniel, for example. He was thriving, respected at work, well-liked by colleagues, and known for getting things done. But then things started to change, not all at once, but subtly, like a fog rolling in unnoticed. A once supportive manager became oddly indifferent. Colleagues who used to laugh with him in the hallway now offered only polite nods. The casual invites to lunch stopped. The warmth vanished, replaced by a strange, unexplained distance. Daniel began to question himself. Had he done something wrong? Was he misreading the room? But as the days turned into weeks, the pattern became clearer. A joke taken the wrong way. Credit for a project quietly given to someone else. A vague comment about his attitude that no one could fully explain. It wasn't random. It wasn't just bad luck. Someone was orchestrating it. Not with open confrontation, but with quiet sabotage. A whisper here, a misinterpreted remark there. Not outright lies, but just enough distortion to make people pause, to make them doubt. This is what betrayal looks like when it's done with patience. It doesn't strike like a hammer. It erodes like a leak beneath your floorboards, weakening the foundation until one day it collapses beneath you. The person behind it rarely acts alone. Instead, they plant seeds and let others water them. They spread just enough shadow to turn a room cold, and by the time you realize what's happening, the damage is done. You're no longer standing on solid ground. The Stoics understood this kind of slow betrayal well. Marcus Aurelius, constantly surrounded by senators and advisors who schemed behind closed doors, once wrote, "The opinion of 10,000 men is of no value if none of them know the truth." It's a brutal but necessary truth. The world often believes perception, not proof. And if your self-worth is tied to the opinions of others, you will live at the mercy of their whispers. But if your identity is anchored in something deeper, in your integrity, your consistency, and your character, then no rumor can break you. No whisper can define you. The mistake most people make, they assume betrayal will come with red flags. But real betrayal rarely wears warning signs. It arrives wrapped in concern, delivered by a manipulator who never gets their hands dirty. Their goal is simple: to isolate you, to make you doubt yourself. Because once you begin questioning your own truth, you're easier to control, easier to remove. So, how do you protect yourself? First, remember this: your reputation is fragile, but your character, unbreakable. Others may twist how you're seen, but no one can alter who you are. As Epictetus said, if someone speaks ill of you, do not defend yourself with words. Instead, live in such a way that no one will believe them. Don't waste energy chasing down every rumor. Let your life prove them wrong. Second, observe without becoming paranoid. You don't need to accuse recklessly, but don't ignore patterns. If tension always seems to follow a certain person, if you feel trust evaporating around you without reason, ask why. Wisdom doesn't jump to conclusions, but it also doesn't look away from what's obvious. Third, protect your inner circle. No one stands strong alone for long. Surround yourself with people who know your heart, who see through deception, who don't fall for manipulation masked as truth. Seneca put it simply: associate with those who make you better. The right people won't abandon you because of whispers. They'll recognize lies for what they are, because they know you. And finally, when betrayal comes, don't let it define you. It will try to make you feel small, unseen, and powerless. But remember, betrayal only wins when you let its shadows replace your clarity. So stand firm, see clearly, and never, never hand your power to those who whisper in darkness. Because when your truth is unshakable, the lies can't reach you. Second sign, the mask of friendship. The most dangerous enemy isn't the one who declares war on you. It's the one who stands beside you, smiling, listening, nodding, all while quietly sharpening the knife behind your back. You see, betrayal rarely comes from a stranger. A stranger doesn't know where to strike. They don't know your soft spots. They don't know how to hurt you where it counts. Real betrayal comes from those you let in, those you've shared your dreams with, those you've told your fears to, the ones who learned how to break you because you trusted them to protect you. Take Nathan, for example. He wasn't naive. He valued trust, but never gave it away lightly. He had built his business, his reputation, his entire life on meaningful relationships. He believed in loyalty, in honesty, in earned connection. And then came Julian, charismatic, supportive, always there. He offered insight, encouragement, praise. He was more than helpful. He was invested. In a matter of months, he wasn't just a business contact. He was a friend. He knew Nathan's dreams, his frustrations, his doubts. He met Nathan's wife, spent time with his kids, came over for dinner, played the role of trusted confidant flawlessly, and then things began to shift. Deals Nathan had nurtured for months suddenly collapsed, only for Julian to quietly close them himself. Private worries Nathan had shared were whispered back to him in twisted form, circulated through the industry like rumors. And when Nathan finally confronted Julian, he was met with casual deflections. "You're reading too much into it. You know I'd never do that to you." Classic gaslighting, smooth, convincing, and devastating. The truth was clear. Julian had never been a friend. He was a strategist. And Nathan's trust, it had become his greatest vulnerability. That's what makes the false friend so dangerous. They don't argue with you. They don't confront you. They don't even disagree. Instead, they embed themselves in your life with kindness and praise until you've lowered every defense. Then, once they have access to your world, your plans, your habits, your secrets, they weaponize it. The Stoics warned us about this, not from a place of cynicism, but from realism. Marcus Aurelius once wrote that those who rush to prove their loyalty are often the ones most likely to betray it. A true friend is known by their actions, not their flattery. A real friend earns trust slowly, through consistency, honesty, and time. But a manipulator, they fast-track the process because their goal isn't connection, it's control. So ask yourself, has someone in your life recently taken a sudden, deep interest in you? Have they gone from a casual acquaintance to a daily presence? Do they ask what you fear, where you go, who you spend time with? Do they present themselves as your biggest fan, yet somehow leave you more anxious than supported? A true friend wants to lift you. A false friend wants to access you, and in the wrong hands, access becomes ammunition. History is filled with betrayals. Just like this, Julius Caesar didn't fear the battlefield. He didn't flinch before known enemies. What he never expected was Brutus, a trusted ally, a man who stood close enough to embrace him while leading the charge to end him. As Seneca wisely warned, a prosperous man often has more to fear from his friends than from his enemies. Because when you have something valuable, your peace, your purpose, your presence, there will always be those who want to take it. And they won't always do it by force, they'll do it by deception. So, how do you protect yourself? Step 1, awareness. Pay attention to sudden shifts. If someone seems too eager, too invested, too perfect, pause. Real trust grows slowly. A false friend rushes in, eager to win your confidence before you have time to see their true nature. Step 2, patience. Genuine relationships take time. A manipulator accelerates intimacy, hoping you won't notice the missing foundation beneath it. If someone seems too good to be true, they probably are. Step 3, guard your inner world. Not everyone deserves access to your private thoughts, your fears, your dreams. As Epictetus warned, the more you reveal of yourself, the more you give others the power to use it against you. Choose wisely. The greatest threats don't always oppose you. Sometimes they stand close enough to whisper in your ear while holding the blade behind your back. Be kind, but not blind. Be open, but not exposed. And never confuse rapid closeness for genuine friendship, because time reveals intentions if you give it the chance. Third sign, the silent observer. There's a reason the most dangerous threats are not the ones who shout, not the ones who challenge you head-on. not the ones who make their hatred loud, because a predator that roars before it strikes gives its prey a chance to run. But the deadliest kind? They wait. They don't warn. They don't lunge. They watch. They blend into the background. They stay, just far enough away to remain invisible, until the moment is right, and by the time you realize you've been watched, studied, tracked, it's already too late. Some people don't just dislike you. They want to see you fall, but they won't insult you. They won't threaten you. They won't even announce themselves because they don't need confrontation. They need access. I call them the silent observer. They're not just the curious co-worker who lingers too long in conversations, or the ex who occasionally checks your social media. No, this is someone who studies you like a blueprint, tracks your movements, follows your routines, not out of curiosity, but with calculated, intentional precision. And the scariest part, you almost never notice, because they don't move like a threat. They move like coincidence. Maybe you've already encountered one. Have you ever had someone casually mention a place you've recently been, even though you never told them? Notice someone showing up more and more in your daily routine, at the same coffee shop, the same gym, the same grocery store. At first you brush it off. Coincidence, harmless, but when it keeps happening, when they always seem to appear at just the right time, when they know things they shouldn't and show up where they don't belong, you feel it. That chill in your gut, that knot in your chest that whispers, this isn't random, and it's not. In today's world, tracking someone doesn't require hacking your phone or placing a tracker on your car. It only requires patience. You might not post about your schedule, but your friends do. You don't mention your routines, but those around you do it for you. A silent observer doesn't need a password. They need proximity. A friend tags you at a cafe. A co-worker mentions your new class schedule in passing. A neighbor casually comments on your morning walk. Piece by piece, they assemble a map of your life. And once they have it, they begin positioning themselves inside it. It starts small. They just happen to be at your favorite cafe. They strike up conversation. They bump into you twice in one day. At first, it feels flattering, coincidental. But something feels off. Their timing is too perfect. Their presence too consistent. They know things no one told them. They're always there. And yet, when you try to explain it, you hesitate. You don't want to sound paranoid. You don't want to seem dramatic, but this isn't paranoia. This is surveillance, carefully veiled, quietly strategic. So how do you protect yourself? You don't respond with fear. You respond with awareness. Start asking, who's always around? When you are, who knows more than they should? Who makes you feel uneasy, even when nothing wrong has happened? Your instincts were built to protect you. The human mind is wired to detect danger before the conscious mind catches up. That strange feeling in your gut, that's not imagination. That's survival intelligence. As Marcus Aurelius once wrote, your mind will take the shape of what you frequently hold in thought. If you focus on dismissing every uneasy feeling, if you convince yourself to ignore what feels off, you create a life shaped by denial. And leave room for the silent observer to continue operating unnoticed. That's exactly what they want. The key to self-protection isn't paranoia. It's presence. While you can't control who watches you, you can absolutely control what they see. Break your patterns, change your routes, be unpredictable. The more difficult you are to track, the less attractive you become as a target. And, most importantly, trust your intuition. If something feels wrong, it probably is. In a game where your privacy, safety, or peace of mind may be at stake, the worst mistake you can make is this: assuming no one is watching. Fourth sign, the gradual attack. No one descends into violence without warning. Before the storm breaks, the sky changes, the air thickens, the wind shifts. Nature always gives a signal, and people do too. Those who harbor real malice rarely act in sudden bursts. They don't go from silence to chaos overnight. They test, they escalate, they push, pause, and watch. And every time you let it go, they step 1 inch closer to the edge, until one day they cross it. But by then, you're already in the middle of the storm, and you never saw it coming. Let's talk about patterns. Take Lee Harvey Oswald, the man who assassinated President John F. Kennedy. He didn't just wake up one morning and decide to kill. His descent into violence followed a slow, dangerous rhythm. He had a long history of aggression, alienation, and ideological obsession. Years before the assassination, Oswald defected to the Soviet Union. He returned to the US with resentment smoldering under the surface. He had already attempted to assassinate General Edwin Walker, a political figure he considered an enemy. That failed attempt was not an isolated event. It was a warning, a test. He watched, he planned, he escalated quietly, methodically. And by the time he fired the final shot, the path to violence had been long and well worn. This is how escalation works. It rarely starts with threats. It starts with a joke, one with a sharp edge, but just enough ambiguity for them to say, "I'm just kidding." Then it becomes physical, a subtle violation of space, standing too close, brushing against you accidentally, blocking your exit from a conversation. Next comes the intimidation, casual references to violence framed as humor, dark remarks tossed into the air to see if you'll flinch, and every single move is a test. They watch how you respond. If you laugh it off, they push further. If you stay silent, they see it as permission. This is how predators evolve. Not with a bang, but with tiny shifts, each one meant to desensitize you until the line between discomfort and danger blurs. History repeats itself. Mark David Chapman, the man who murdered John Lennon, didn't act impulsively either. He spent weeks lingering around Lennon's home, observing, obsessing, rehearsing. He got Lennon's autograph just hours before the murder, posing as a harmless fan. He had made disturbing comments to friends. He displayed erratic behavior, but it was dismissed. He was odd, not dangerous. Until he was. This is why Stoicism doesn't preach ignorance of danger. It teaches awareness without fear. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." In other words, what you avoid becomes your vulnerability. What you refuse to confront only grows. You cannot neutralize a threat you pretend doesn't exist. You can't stop escalation if you keep calling it harmless. So, how do you protect yourself? Step 1. Recognize the pattern. When someone makes consistent offhand remarks about destruction, violence, or control, listen. When they frequently invade your personal space, raise their voice, or stir tension, take note. People who joke about doing harm are often testing how much they can get away with before someone stops them. Step 2. Set firm boundaries. Immediately. A Stoic does not panic, but neither do they tolerate threats disguised as banter. Speak clearly. Address the behavior. Say what is and is not acceptable. If the behavior continues, remove yourself. Some people escalate only because they believe no one will ever push back. Show them they're wrong. Step 3. Document and act. If things continue to intensify, keep records. Document threats, comments, or violations. Talk to leadership, law enforcement, or someone in a position to intervene. Silence only empowers escalation. As Seneca warned, a sword does not kill by itself. It is merely the hand that wields it. Violence isn't random. It doesn't appear out of nowhere. It is almost always preceded by signs, subtle, disturbing, repetitive, and the sooner you recognize them, the sooner you can stop the destruction. Before it begins, fear thrives in ignorance, but awareness, action, and truth transform fear into power. No one descends into chaos without taking small steps toward it. And no one prevents disaster by pretending it doesn't exist. So the question is really, when the air shifts, when the sky darkens, when the wind changes direction, will you notice in time? Fifth sign, the long game. Some threats are obvious, loud, reckless. They burn hot and fast, revealing themselves in the heat of the moment, shouting, confronting, lashing out with emotion. These kinds of enemies are easy to spot, easy to brace against, easy to walk away from, but the ones you should truly fear, they don't explode, they observe, they don't scream, they study, they don't act in anger, they act in timed precision, and always on their terms. These are the enemies who wait, the ones who blend into your life like background noise, who move in silence while mapping every detail of your world. They don't seek drama. They seek position, and by the time they strike, the damage is already done, because they've made sure you were too entangled to escape. Ask yourself this: has anyone in your life taken a deep, sustained interest in your future? Not just the surface-level small talk, but real surgical curiosity. Your dreams, your relationships, your fears, your routines, your vulnerabilities. Sometimes that interest comes from love, but sometimes it's something else. Because for these people, information is power, and they're not asking because they care. They're building a blueprint. They're learning when and where you'll be most exposed, most dependent, most alone. And they'll use that knowledge not to support you die, but to strategically dismantle you when your defenses are lowest. The scariest part: they don't raise red flags. In fact, they often present themselves as the least threatening person in the room. They're helpful, reliable, quietly encouraging. They look like someone you trust to hold your keys, your calendar, your secrets. But history tells us the truth. The greatest betrayals almost never come from open enemies. They come from trusted allies, the ones closest to your heart. Julius Caesar never feared the battlefield. He never feared his known rivals. He feared Brutus least of all. And yet, it was Brutus who stood among the assassins. Not because he hated Caesar loudly, but because he waited quietly. That's what the long game enemy does. They don't resist you, they support you. They nod, smile, praise. They weave themselves into your daily rhythm until they feel indispensable. They collect your habits, your blind spots, your doubts, not to walk with you, but to undermine you when you least expect it. Maybe it's a boss who praises your loyalty while quietly grooming your replacement. Maybe it's a business partner who agrees with every decision until the moment they walk out with everything you built together. Or maybe it's someone in your personal life, a friend, even family, who waits until they've earned maximum influence. Before they pulled the trigger, Marcus Aurelius warned against trusting too quickly. He wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts, and the long-game enemy, they know this, so they disguise themselves in your favorite color, until one day they turn into something you can't wash off." So how do you protect yourself? First, pay attention to people who take an unusual interest in your private life. Not everyone who asks about your future is a threat. But if someone seems too invested in every detail, every step, every thought, take note. Second, guard your information. Don't overshare. Don't hand over the keys to your emotional vault just because someone seems warm. The Stoics believed in self-sufficiency for a reason. Your judgment must be your strongest filter. Third, trust patterns, not promises. A true friend reveals themselves over time, not through words when they have something to gain, but through actions when they have nothing to benefit. Because a patient enemy waits until your guard is down, your circle is small, your confidence is steady, and your trust is complete. Don't let it get that far. If someone fits the pattern, don't write it off as paranoia. Understand what you're dealing with. You're not facing a petty rivalry. You're facing a calculated threat. And survival in this case doesn't depend on strength. It depends on foresight. So before you click away, I want you to do two things. First, save this video. These signs aren't just interesting. They might be the thin line between awareness and devastation. The most dangerous people in your life will never raise their voice. They'll just wait for you to hand them the knife. Second, watch the next video on your screen. It's all about how to spot covert manipulators, the kind who don't work alone, the kind who wear masks so well you forget they're even masks. If this video opened your eyes, let me know in the comments by writing, "What I see clearly," because once you recognize the long game, you'll never be caught off guard again. Hit subscribe, tap the bell, and stay sharp. Remember, knowledge is power, but action is what keeps you safe. Stay aware, stay ahead, and I'll see you in the next one.